So I'm just going to go through a little bit about what we did last year, and then I'm going to talk about a parable that Jesus told. So 2022 to 23, because we're not really that far out of it. So this is a picture. This is very exciting. So ever since I've known Alberto, I've known that obviously that he works at Oxford, and we can't get into Oxford, and we've been trying to kind of, what do we talk to this, whatever. We're still not in the high school, but this is a photo at Oxford Primary School, so we're nearly there. We've got 1.5 foot in the door. So that was really exciting. So we were actually really excited that we were all there and all happened to be in uniforms. I'm not that strict about uniforms, but so all 4 of us were working together in our CEP tops at Oxford. I was like, this needs to be photographed for posterity. There's also a sad photograph because Sam in the pink, this was one of her last days working at CEP. So she's gone. It's one of these ones where you don't really want someone to leave, you're not happy about the situation, but she has been doing, ever since she met us and before, she was doing a part-time degree with the Open University in psychology. She graduated, she got first in the summer, really, really super proud, and she's gone on to do an MA in art therapy. And when someone just needs to do that, like that is something that the world needs. The world needs Sam, the art therapist. So we let her go grudgingly, but with good wishes for the future. So obviously in the yellow, I'm going to register, it's fine. The yellow is me, and next to me is Felicia and Heather. So they're back now, and both of them have had kids since working with us, but they're all back. So the 3 of us make up the team. So we did these actually lessons which have repeated this year as well. So we did some of our favourite lessons. We did creation at Barley Lane, and we recreated a famous, it's not that famous actually, it's a stained glass window at Chester Cathedral. It's a really lovely window, and it has sort of 6 columns, and each column is represented a day of creation. And I actually used to work when I was a student in Chester Cathedral Refectory, where it is. So I used to stare at it all the time, so I feel like it's very famous. It may not be, but look it up, it's really, really good. And then another thing, so we're doing that again actually next week, brilliant. And another thing we did, which we've already repeated this year, which is lovely, is a day at Oakdale Junior School where we got the whole of Year 5 in the hall, and we got to tell them, what does it mean to be a Christian? And it's really, really intense. It's quite a tiring thing to do, bless you. But there's loads of, it's just amazing. The amount of stuff you just sort of, it's not like you're allowed to say, like you have to say, like that's what they want you to say. So a lot of it is we have 4 sessions. It's literally from 9:30 to 3:30, and the big thing is we do the Bible, the big story, and we go literally from Genesis all the way through to Revelation and the New Earth. And we tell the whole story of sin and how God sent a rescuer, and how the story's not over, and there's going to be a new creation, and that's great. And then we look into we do a really interesting thing actually, where this year we did it with everyone voted. So we got 10 of them up with various things that a Christian might do, like be baptised, take Holy Communion, sing religious songs, love people, attend church, read the Bible, and they had to order them. It was really interesting, got really sort of fierce at one point, because people were saying, well, I think it's more important to do this than this, and obviously they're all really important, that's why it's really hard. But yeah, we did that. So we did loads and loads of lessons. We did several hundred RE lessons last year. Christmas, so I made a friend. I've got a new friend for life. You may have seen him on our social media if you follow him. This is Chris, name's Chris Tingle. So I wanted one of those for years, but they're really expensive. And I got invited through my church to speak about kids' work at a conference, and it was really unclear whether they wanted Helen, that goes to my church, or Helen, who works at CEP. Anyway, I did it, that's fine. And a cheque came through the post for 150 quid. And then I was a bit, do I keep it? What's the ethical surround? I don't know. And so I texted trustees and said, they've sent me a cheque. It was made to me. I said, I don't know what the parameters of the conference were, but can I buy Chris Tingle? And they were like, yeah, sure. So I've bought this ridiculous expensive puppet and I love him. So that's really good. So this is the Chris Ingles are kind of repeating themselves with great gusto. But it is a really, really lovely thing to do, and it does show lots about the gospel and stuff. So that's really nice. Easter. So we wanted to do the whole story of Easter, and I was like, well, I want to do it through something like flowers or food. I was like, oh, we had this meeting. It was all a bit unclear. And then on the way home, I was cut up on the road. You know, I was someone pushed in front of me, and it was a Just Eat motorcycle. I was very annoyed. And then I thought, Just Eat. That sounds like Just Easter. Brilliant. We'll do it. So it was really good. So we arrived with a takeaway, a new takeaway. Not sure, just trying out this new takeaway. An Easter takeaway. What's in my Easter takeaway? And there was some pita bread, some grape juice, some hot cross buns, an Easter egg, a box that had frozen fish in it. That would be a bit of a nightmare, wouldn't it? Fish everywhere. And also a little bunny. And I said, well, I think I can use this to tell you the Easter story. But there's one thing that I don't need. What one is completely superfluous to anything I'm doing? And do you know what? They were so loyal to that bunny. They never, ever said the first, oh, we don't need the bunny. It was always like, we don't need the fish, or we don't need the bread, or whatever. But the reason for the fish, you might have probably guessed, is that, and that sounds stupid, but I was a bit annoyed with the way we do Easter assemblies, because sometimes we go from Palm Sunday, sometimes we go from the Thursday, but we do tell the story. And then we say, and then the disciples found that Jesus had risen from the dead. Wonderful. Right, have a good Easter holiday, see you soon. And we never kind of go, and I thought, actually, if I didn't know the Easter story at all, wonderful as it is that Jesus rose from the dead, there's so much more, apart from that, into the future of the Easter story. So we actually did the restoration of Peter because we wanted to show that Jesus rose from the dead, but the risen Christ wants relationship and wants to forgive us and wants to be friends with us. So we felt that had more meaning. So it was a really nice Easter Sunday. I was quite glad that the Just Eat man did actually do that. Very good. Prayer spaces. So I'll talk about funding in a minute, but due to various ways that funding has taken us this year, we did have a lot more prayer spaces than normal. That's because we received a grant for doing prayer spaces, and so we offered them out a lot more. We suggested that people might want them. So that was really good. I think we did 5 prayer spaces in school. So we got into Chadwell Heath Academy to do a prayer space, which was really interesting. And so mostly, this was at Ursuline, so it's obviously a Catholic school, but all the others were just state schools, and people have booked again for this year, which is lovely. We do church visits, that was it's quite near here, where is it? Opposite Aldborough, St John Seven Kings. There's a small sort of Baptist free church there, so we took people there. That's lovely. We did about 8 different churches, a couple of hundred kids. And this was exciting, so this was also a bit stressful. So we did the rhyming Bible. So at Christmas, I saw at my church, I'm in City Gates, I saw a performance by a theatre company called Saltmine, and they were performing a Christmas play. But then they said, and this is what we've got coming up, this is what, other things you can see. And one of them was the rhyming Bible. I thought, amazing, how good would it be to get a performance by a professional theatre company to talk about the whole big story of the Bible. So we did do it. There was some faffing about the venue, which always is, it's a long story. So only about 150 people saw it live in the venue, but people that refused to go to the venue watched it on live stream. It's always a strange place at the point. So actually quite a few people did actually watch it, but just some of them online. So that was really, really lovely. And the ones that came were brilliant next year, which one are we having? So, we might do it again, which was good. So the other thing we did was we beat some of our targets. So we'd gone into 49 schools the year before, and like, I started my career as a teacher, and teaching is ridiculously target-driven to things that you can't really control. So you have to say at the beginning of the year how many of your kids are going to get above a certain grade, and you've no idea, to be honest. But you have to say, and then that's your target, and then, you know, you get in trouble if it doesn't happen. But, so, I'm a bit, I've been sort of conditioned to that, even though this is ministry, God works in mysterious ways and whatever. So, we did 49 schools, so I was like, right, we're going to do 50 this year. So we did actually so many schools, I had to change my definition of what working with a school is. So we actually went into 52 schools, and there was more schools where, for whatever reason, the thing got cancelled because of the snow or whatever, but we dropped the materials, or, you know, so we actually worked with 56 schools last year, so that's really good. Now Reach is expanding, so we got to lots of primary last year, we got back into Downsall, which had been a bit harder to get into. We do lose schools mostly because the link person goes on maternity or just leaves, and leaves when we're not expecting them to leave. So they don't say, you know, if it's like at the summer, we might say, oh, are you here next year? Do you want to book anything? If they leave mid-term or something, then we don't know who is the link person, and it's hard to get into the reception, to be honest. So that's why. But that's good. So, Saturday. Now, I've always thought of you as an erudite people, to be honest. I think that you guys are smart.
Of course.
So, we are having a quiz evening. This is the 3rd annual quiz evening. I think we broke for the pandemic. I think we had 2019, 22, and now 2023. So, we are having a quiz evening at Woodford Baptist Church. And it's teams of 8, but we will kind of, you know, fine. We will, you know, it is £10 a ticket, but we will also accept, you know, donations of, you know, whatever. It's fine. You know, we want to see people to kind of, you know, be part of something. You know, meet other CEP people, and also to raise some funds. So this time last year, I think I did say something about funding, but I don't think I was really clear exactly the situation, but I do remember saying to one of the trustees at the quiz evening last year, we've had our budget through, and to be honest with you, it might be last when out turns out the lights. And she was like it was really serious this time last year. And we had a meeting on October the 5th, where the treasurer kind of spelled out, and it was right in the middle of the whole, you know, this mortgage fiasco and the rate rises and the emergency budget thing, you know, that was happening. And the treasurer said, look, you know, I've done our budget and we're minus 29,000, so we're going to spend 29,000 more than I've predicted we'll get, and that was terrible. We've got a bit of a buffer because we've got some negatives, but it was like, we'll do this once, we won't do this twice. And to be honest, I'm worried that we're not going to get signed off by the accounts person. So then he did a little bit of sort of positive accounting. I don't know, like we might get this or we might get that. And so we predicted that we'd have a fund shortfall of 18 to 19,000, which is obviously dreadful, but we did get signed off by and then God, basically. Like if I had to sum up the year of CEP last year, it's definitely but God, and it has challenged me a lot about asking for money or, you know, praying for stuff, because I'm a bit like, oh well, you know, lots of other people in need. I'm not very forthcoming sometimes in these kind of situations. But we wrote a letter to our supporters, and we had lots of prayer meetings, and we really kind of put, this is serious. Actually, we wouldn't ask money if we really didn't need it. And people just moved. It was amazing. And also in October we lost our offices. So that was honestly, it's dreadful. So we've been at Claymore Baptist Church for 25 years, and they said we're closing, you know, and they don't charge us for office space, and we were like, well, we can't afford to run, and now we have to pay for offices, and this is just terrible. Woodford Baptist took us in, brilliant, really, really great. And then, so we had all of that stuff, and then so we had the letter go out, and then we had this thing which I came to call Mad Check Thursday. So every Thursday, because our treasurer, I love him, but he's very like cautious and I don't know, like very like, oh, we can't get excited just yet. So I kept ringing him, Martin, this has happened. So the first week, what was the first one? Yeah, the first one, a man wrote to us, who I've actually not met, but is, you know, a supporter. I don't have sight of the finances, which is a good thing, I think. Our administrator deals with the bank or whatever. I don't know, I never know who gives or anything. But a man, I think, is a regular supporter, and he wrote to us saying, thank you for your letter. Unfortunately, I can't raise my direct debit at the moment, but here's £5,000 and you can gift aid it. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. And then the next week, on Thursday, so in the summer, I was doing one of these, and I'd been ticked off by a member of the congregation that, you know, this Christian project in Barkingside was shutting down, more because they didn't have the volunteers and they didn't have the thing to run it anymore. And when it did shut down, we were going to be, basically you have to give your residuals away, we know about charity law, even if there's something in Barkingside about, you know, getting people into Christianity and you think there's a brilliant project in Brazil that gives clean water, you're not allowed to support those people because it has to be linked to who the money was originally given to, basically. So anyway, I got told that we were a project that would be benefiting from this because we had similar aims, but there was going to be 4 projects. I thought, well, okay, they're shutting down. What, have they got £1,000 in the bank? I don't know, like we might get £250. We got a letter the next Thursday. Yes, we finally shut down. Here's £8,000. I was like, oh, okay. And then the next Thursday, we had a letter from somebody who I do know, but I didn't know she had an aged aunt. And she said, I am the executor of my aged aunt's estate. Here is about, I don't know, £6,000 I was like, oh! And then it stopped, which was good, because I don't think I can really cope much more. But anyway, so the message is, please don't forget us, but we're also not going anywhere. So that's really, really good. We don't need people to be like, well, they're very rich. We won't give them anything ever. You know, we are still sort of like, but we're very much on a kind of an even keel now. We didn't have this massive deficit, which means we live another year, which is amazing. But, you know, if you want to, you know, still give money to us or have a great evening out, you know, come to the quiz, which is on Saturday. And we're going to have a really good fun time. And we provide you snacks, you know, and you can bring your own drinks. We have drinks as well if you don't bring drinks. So yeah, great. So, right, okay. Now, this is a video, and I don't know if it's going to work, but we might have to just, it's fine, we might just have to count, okay? It's good. So, I never know as well if I'm coming here for Harvest Festival. I'm sure the first time we ever came here was Harvest Festival. And then ever since then I've kind of done a harvesty kind of thing. So, this is a more theologically rich version of our Harvest Assembly this year. Okay, so, I've got teams. Do you want to be team A? Everyone can help, right? I've got a marker. And team B. We're doing a countdown, right? We're making words from a word. You know how countdown works? Wonderful. Right, here's a... Oh gosh. Here's a Sharpie. Hopefully it will work. Right. And then you get bonus points if I use one of your words in my talk. Okay, so probably you'll get which one it is. Right, I'm gonna give you 30 seconds. Okay, so are you ready? This is practice for the quiz, you see. Right, okay. Your timer starts. Oh, actually, right, okay. I'll give you 35 when it comes to right. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh no, that was the video. I know, play the video. It's fine. Be funny. I know, but okay. Yeah, your word is harvest. Harvest. Very intense, isn't it? Harvest. 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 Sorry. It's going to be hard on that side, that's not that helpful. Oh, how many did you get? 3. How many did you get? 6. Wow, team may have it. I didn't read any prizes, I'm sorry. But I actually have, I have words in my talk that I don't think you've got, which is exciting. You can get some more in. So we've got hair, vest, hair, stare, star, tar, star. to understand more about harvest. Hopefully. So, there we go. So next one. Oh yeah, harvest about giving stuff away. There we go. Harvest. Lovely. Right, so in the word harvest, you guys are lucky because in the actual thing I get people to actually have cards and letters and rearrange them, and it's all a bit kind of thing. So harvest, right? So the first word is earth. I'll give that away. So the first word in harvest that we can make is earth. And harvest is a festival which celebrates all the good things that the earth gives us. Okay? God says in the Bible, the earth is someone says in the Bible, the earth is the Lord's and everything in it. Okay? So the earth is the Lord's and everything in it, and the earth brings forth good gifts. Pretty much everything we eat, apart from seafood, is somehow sustained by the earth. Even meat is sustained because the animals eat stuff that grow in the earth. So this is a celebration of everything that the earth has provided for us. And because the earth has provided things, we can eat. Eat is another letter that you can have from harvest. And we have lots and lots of good things to eat. The earth gives us good things, God gives us good things, and we have things to eat. But another message of harvest is that unfortunately, we don't get unfortunately, the good thing about harvest is that it's not about everything we have to eat, it's just about things that we have. So we can feel thankful for the things that we have. And although traditionally it's centred on things that we can eat, actually, harvest might be a time to feel thankful for lots of things. Your family, maybe if you went on a summer holiday, you can feel thankful for that. Just generally having joy, okay, or maybe games you can play or something. And I am thankful mostly just for my bed, to be honest. So it could be something very, very simple, but it doesn't have to be food related. It can be lots and lots of things that we are thankful for at harvest. And every good and perfect gift, Christians believe, don't we, comes from God. So it's a time to thank God, not just for what we have, not just for what we have in terms of food, but lots and lots and lots of things that we have. The next word, though, unfortunately, comes because not everyone has enough to eat. And some people are at risk of starvation. And unfortunately, it's not just even abroad, it's in our local communities as well. There are people that are hungry, there are people that don't have enough to eat. Things like climate change abroad is wreaking havoc with crops. There's too much rain, there's not enough rain, it's hard to grow things. But also other things, even just losing a job or becoming ill, having a hard time, can mean that even in Ilford today, you may be at risk of not having enough, okay? But there's good news. There is good news, okay? Because even though there are people that don't have enough, harvest is an opportunity to do something. We can share. We can share the things that we have. We can share the blessings that we've been given and make sure that everyone has enough. So food is better when we share it, and after the service you guys can share in a lunch together, bring and share. Everyone has equal opportunities to share. Everyone is provided for, and that is a message of harvest, to have a heart for other people, and to have to love other people. So this reminds me of a story that Jesus told. It could link into lots of stories that Jesus told. But this story is a parable about a young man who grew lots and lots and lots of grain. And he gathered his harvest, and he had so much that he didn't even know what to do with it. Of all the problems to have in this world, he had so much that he didn't know how he could even manage to keep all that. So he had an idea. He thought it was a great idea. He was going to build an even bigger barn. So the barns that he had were too much, were too good, were too small, and he decided that his solution to this was to build an even bigger one. You can see in the picture there that he's trying to nail the door on because there's just grain just seeping out of the corners of this barn. And he said to himself, this is brilliant, I can now relax, I can sit down and just look at my barn being full, and I can know that I never have to worry about anything, I never have to work again, I can just sit there and admire how much I have. But God said something else. That night, that very night, was that person's last day on earth, and he hadn't realised it. And so actually, he thought about this big bulging barn, and he was really, really pleased about it. But what good did it do him eventually? What did it do for him that he didn't even have time left to enjoy it? And he'd put everything into just acquiring all this wealth, and actually he didn't have time to enjoy it. So there's this quote by somebody called Oliver Wendell Holmes, but it was actually made, I think, more famous by Johnny Cash. And it says, some people are so heavenly minded that they are no earthly good. And that's something that Jesus said as well with Mary and Martha. He's saying, look, don't worry about the things in the kitchen, don't worry about, that's the opposite. Okay, so some people are so heavenly minded that they are no earthly good, but it's actually the opposite as well. You can be so earthly minded that you're of limited heavenly good, or you can't even be earthly good either. So, for example, it's not good to be so heavenly minded that you're no earthly good, but also you can be so worried about the things here that you forget what really matters. So I'm going to read quite a long passage actually, and this is from Luke 12. Because like most things, it's like what I was saying about the Easter story. We sort of take a little bit and just do an assembly and then we leave. But actually we can't get into what's up around it, and that limits the message in a way. So this is from the beginning of Luke 12. So in the meantime, when so many thousands of people had gathered together that they were trampling one another, he began to say to his disciples first, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees, which is hypocrisy. Nothing is covered up that will not be revealed, or hidden that will not be made known. Therefore, whatever you've said in the dark shall be heard in the light, and what you've whispered in private rooms shall be proclaimed on the housetops. I tell you, my friends, do not fear those who kill the body, and after that have nothing more than they can do. But I will warn you whom to fear. Fear him who, after he is killed, has authority to cast into hell. Yes, I tell you, fear him. Are not 5 sparrows sold for 2 pennies, and not one of them is forgotten before God? Why, even the hairs on your heads are all numbered. Fear not, you are more valuable than many sparrows. And I tell you, everyone who acknowledges me before men, the Son of Man also will acknowledge him before the angels of God. But the one who denies me before men will be denied before the angels of God. And everyone who speaks a word against the Son of Man will be forgiven, but the one who blasphemes will not be. The Holy Spirit will not be forgiven. And when they bring you before the synagogues and the rulers and the authorities, do not be anxious about how you would defend yourself or what you would say, for the Holy Spirit will teach you in that very hour what you ought to say. I'm going to pause there a second, because I'm not going to get into everything that Jesus says in this bit, because that will take so long. But it's fair to say that Jesus is giving a very meaty word, isn't he? He is talking about the real things of life. He's talking about hypocrisy, he's talking about not even worrying about dying, about how the real thing is afterlife and being loyal to him and acknowledging God, even acknowledging Jesus, even though there will be sacrifices and there'll be pain and there'll be bad stuff. He's saying stay faithful to him. He's really talking about the places where life's at. And then someone in the crowd, it's always like when I was teaching, I was like, you're just really getting into something really important in a lesson, and someone put their hand up and sort of say, oh, I don't know, he stole my moisturising cream that I was using for my hands, or some really kind of side issue will come up. Or if you've got children and when they're young, you'll be having a really deep conversation, or really trying to sort something out, and they'll ask you some really strenuous question about something different. So this guy in the crowd puts his hand up. Someone in the crowd said to him, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me." It's like he's just talking about the real thing in life, about suffering for the kingdom, about everything. And this guy wants to talk about his own personal issue with his finances, which is like irrelevant at the time. And even though it seems like actually he does deserve half the inheritance and it is an issue of earthly justice, it's actually nowhere near as important as what Jesus is talking about. Because Jesus is talking about having no fear, and even though people will do stuff to you, don't worry, because your eternity is with God and everything like that. So he says, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me." But he said to him, "Man, who made me a judge or arbiter over you?" And he said to them, "Take care and be on your guard against all covetousness, for one's life does not consist in the abundance of one's possession." And he told them a parable, saying, "The land of a rich man produced plentifully. And he thought to himself, what shall I do if I have nowhere to store my crops? And he said, I will do this. I will tear down my barns and build larger ones. And there I will store all my grain and my goods. And I will say to my soul, soul, you have ample goods laid up for many years. Relax, eat, drink, and be merry." But God said to them, "Fool, that night your soul is required of you, and the things you have prepared, whose will they be? So is the one who lays up treasure for himself, but is not rich towards God." I'm just going to go into the next bit, just briefly. And he said to his disciples, "Therefore I tell you, do not be anxious about your life, what you will eat, nor about your body, what you put on. Your life is more than food, and the body more than clothing. Consider the ravens, they neither sow nor reap, they have neither storehouse nor barn, and yet God feeds them." So people are very, very concerned, naturally, and also, we live in a world which is so consumed by this, about how much they've got, or the material possessions. But Jesus says in Mark 8:36, "For what does it profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses his own soul?" So in one way, yes, you can be so heavenly minded that you're no earthly good, and we are here now and we need to operate in the world now. But actually, Jesus says, what does it profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses his soul? So the man in the passage was interrupting what Jesus was saying about what really mattered in life and the cost of following him, because he was concerned about his estate. He was concerned about stuff in the here and now, and actually he wasn't focused on the heavenly, on the hereafter. And Jesus, I love this. He says to the man, "Watch out, be on your guard against all kinds of greed. Life does not consist in an abundance of possessions." So the world tells you that your value lies in what you have. There's different things coming out all the time. Oh, so you've got an iPhone 14. But do you have a 15? A 15 is out now. Do you have this? Do you have that? Oh, you have a good house. You have a house. But there's. Do you have a loft extension? Do you have a big garden? What if you moved to this area? What if you had this? There's always going to be something else that you have. But abundant life does not consist in an abundance of possessions. Jesus was trying to tell them about abundant life. Jesus was telling them about sticking with him and about how the eternity is with God when you're with Jesus. And don't worry about things that can cast you into hell and stuff like that. Don't worry about what you can eat tomorrow, because God looks after the sparrows and God looks after the lilies, and they're amazing. So you don't need to worry about the here and now as much as in the hereafter. So here's something, this is why I was faffing around my PowerPoint before I started, because I thought actually I want to show them this. This is something that we do at South Park actually in year 5. We have the whole of a half term, and we have year 5, and we get to tell them about justice and poverty. Can religion help to build a fairer world? And we do this thing with the jelly babies and the midget gems. But I want to tell you a bit about kind of what's going on in the world. So we watched about the village of 100 people. So this time we're going to represent everyone in the world with 100 jelly babies. And we're also going to represent all the wealth in the world with 100 gems, so midget gems. So we've got 100 gems and 100 people. How should we divide the wealth? Any ideas? Yes? I don't know everyone knows it. So why don't we, give each gem to each jelly baby? That would be fair, okay? But this is how the world's wealth is actually organised. So in the real world, things are different. The richest one jelly baby owns 46 of the world's gems. So nearly half the world's wealth is owned by the richest 1% of people. And then the next 11 richest jelly babies, which I believe is most people in this room. I think to be in that top 12% of people, just having the basic wealth of the UK would probably put you in there. And they own 39% of the world's wealth. So they still have more than one jelly baby each, maybe about three jelly babies each, 3 of it. Then you have the next 12 jelly babies have, 32 jelly babies. The next 32 jelly babies have 14 gems between them. So they only own about the less than 0.5% of the world's wealth between them. But it gets worse, because the poorest 55 jelly babies have 1 gem between them. So 1% of the world's wealth is owned by more than half the people. So the world is unfair. People have not enough because the world is set like this for people. So how does this link to the parable? Is that it's very easy and very tempting to say, oh, we haven't got enough. Oh, I'm worried. I want to look into my assets. I want to look into this. I'm going to try and build up more wealth. And people do this with good hearts and good intentions, but actually, it's fine to share. It's okay to give up some of the wealth, because there's so many people that don't have anywhere near what we have. And this is one of the messages of Harvest, isn't it? It's saying, actually, we've been blessed with so much abundance, whether or not we feel like it, and we can give away. Because actually, don't give away everything. You don't need to kind of feel bad about having anything in your cupboard. I'm going to empty my whole cupboard, my whole fridge. I'm going to empty my bank account, give everything away. But the message of Jesus is that actually God will provide for us, and we don't need to be so attached to our worldly wealth, because Jesus has actually given us the biggest inheritance and the biggest wealth. And the inheritance we have and the wealth that we have in heaven is paid for in his blood, isn't it? So we have everything that we could ever need in this world and in the world to come. And if we're so worried about what we have in this world, then we can somehow forget about everything that we've been given in the world to come, and that's worth fighting for. So this harvest, don't worry about the future, don't worry about what you have. But also just think about what you do have and share with others. So that's the message. Amen.